Hello everyone, welcome to the Underground Cave. I'm Gel Tip, and this is Mini Painting with Gel Tip. Tonight is our second installment of the Paint Along, Thursday night Paint Along, and we're painting Grimkel, the Bloodbeard Viking. So, I guess that's Grimkel Bloodbeard, the Viking. So, uh, so we're doing these paint alongs for the first 3 months. So February, March. This is the third month we're doing it in April, and yeah. So each Thursday, join us here for just paint along. So we'll see how this goes after April, and then we'll see if everybody wants to do this again. So hopefully you have your Grimkel Bloodbeard miniature ready to go. The palette, the color palette is the same as it was last week, and you can find that color palette in my Discord if you just join the Discord and go to Thursday Night Paint Alongs. Find the April Paint Along post, which has Grimkel in it, and it will also tell you the number that you could buy that miniature from, and hopefully paint along with us. Now I haven't downloaded last week's video, so I have to do that so that I can keep a record of all of these videos and then post them up somewhere in case you want to dive back into your Grimkel at a later date. But for tonight, this is a second installment, so grab your miniature, grab your paintbrushes and your palette, and let's paint. All right, gotta get my eyes on. We got our wet palette ready to go. So before we begin, I just want to give out our color palette one more time. So we're using a basic reddish brown. So to do that, I'm going to use the Monument Hobbies Pro Acryl Mahogany, but any reddish brown will do. I think Rhinox Hide might be a reddish brown from Citadel, and I did not go through my paints. So if you have a question on a paint choice, then just ask in chat and we'll find out. But it's sort of a reddish brown. It's not like a leathery brown. It's not a tan. It's more of a red tone. So it's like a dark flesh tone. That's what we're using. The other Monument Hobbies that we're using is a blue. This is just true blue. So if you have a blue, and then we're using an ivory because we always use ivory. So there you go. It's any bone color that you might have. And then we're also using bold titanium white. These are all pro acryls from Monument Hobbies, but if you have a white that you enjoy, you can certainly use that. I mean, you could use a golden titanium white if you wish. I'm using rosy skin as my skin tone, so it's more of a kind of like a ruddy sort of. It's a little bit more red than a elf flesh, maybe a dwarven flesh, a gnome flesh, something to that nature. And the other one that I'm using, let's see, the other Reapers that I'm using is solid black and brown liner. Any transparent brown will do. You use Monument Hobbies transparent brown. You can use a brown ink. You can try to use any kind of brown contrast paint that will do well. We're also using a steel, so any silver that you have lying around. This one's Runefang Steel. I'm trying to use as many different paint brands as I can, so you kind of get an idea that as long as it's an acrylic, you can use these paints. It's not really, this is not a recipe for this particular model. This is just things that I think people will have. So you might have some Reaper paints. You might have all Citadel. Who knows? We're using Flash Gets Yellow. This is more of like a dark yellow. I think candlelight yellow from Reaper. Canary might be a little too bright. So something that has sort of a very warm tone to it. I'm also using Evil Sun Scarlet's red. So that's going to be my red color. Now, I chose these two colors, and I can mix these to make an orange. But the great thing with Citadel is I don't have to mix. I can always go find that orange. So we're going to be using that orange in its place. But you don't need this orange because you can mix it with these. So I can make this orange. So this is an extra paint. I just figured since I'm using Citadel, they already mixed it for me. And the same thing with your dark brown and your rosy skin. By mixing just a tad bit of this brown in, you can get a rosy shadow. So because it's Reaper, they already make it. So why mix it when I can have it? And what's nice about this is that they're sequential in number. So I know that whatever color is in here is also in here. They just add a little bit of something else. I don't know if it's mahogany, but you can certainly mix it there. So that's just an extra color. And the last thing is, I believe with the ivory and the rosy skin, you can make a little bit highlighted color of the skin tone, which is my rosy highlight. So instead of mixing that, and to save time, but remember, you can mix these to make this. So the colors that I gave to you are fine. You don't need to have the extras, but if you have the extras, why not take advantage of it? That's the beauty of Reaper paints, and that's the beauty of Citadel paints, is that they do some mixing for you so that you don't have to really worry about it. But if they don't have that color, or you should learn how to make that color so that you can always have it. Hey, cutie patootie, how are you doing? And then we have our miniature Grimkel Viking. There he is. I didn't touch him. The only thing I did on him was paint his other hand. We haven't done anything else with this guy. So I have to kind of look him over and figure out what I want to do with him as far as getting some stuff. So we did paint the arm piece here black. We did paint the pants black. And I think where I want to go next is probably getting all the brown onto his straps and working on his beard and hair. And I believe we took a little bit of the of the mahogany and added in some red to get that nice dark red. So if you're ready to begin, I think I am too. If you have any questions, please make sure that you're asking. I'm going to go ahead and put on some music so that we have some music, but feel free to listen to your own music if that's what you want to do. If you don't feel like you want to ask any questions, you just want to kind of hobby in the background. So first thing we're going to do is turn this down so I don't yell at you, because the music gets very loud in my ears. And I feel like I have to talk over it, even though that it's not really overpowering on here. And we're just going to bring that down. Now, let's see. I was thinking some meditation. What do you think? You think this is a good day to meditate and just kind of chill out and paint? Again, any choice of music that if I do and you don't enjoy, please just shoot me a chat and we'll change it up. But let's get some meditation going on. And hopefully you can hear this. Hey, Dokul, what's going on? How are you, sir? All right. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to get our Monument Hobby out, or we're going to get our Mahogany out. I don't know why I keep saying Monument Hobby. I guess I'm shouting them out. There you go. If you want some nice paints, go find monumenthobbies.com and look at their Pro Acryls. I love this. I think I have all of them now. Whoa! All right, that's where that's going to live. Normally it doesn't do that. I don't know why it's all of a sudden just... Maybe it's not shaken up enough. I don't know. We'll shake it up, but I already got it on there. And we're going to go and... I'm just going to start painting all the straps with that dark brown. I'm not going to mix anything in there. I am going to put a little bit of water or So one thing you can do is you can get a dropper bottle and just put some water in there. This is just water. You can't even see it. There you go. This is just water, so I can add drops of water in. Or you can get some medium. This one is Cuttlefish's Magic Medium. Merlin's Magic Medium. So you can do either one. I'm just going to stick it right in there. Just going to do one shot of it. And we're going to get a nice mixing brush. Where's my mixing brush? Always got to have a mixing brush. Wow, this is like a lullaby. Let's not put everybody to sleep. It's I thought it was going to be like some soft instrumental, but it sounds like it's a lullaby. Alright. And we're going to get a nice brush here. I think I'm going to go with the Reaper 1. Maybe I'm going to go with the Reaper 1. See, I say that, and then I have to find it. That's the problem. If you can't find your brushes, then we can't use it. So where is my Reaper 1? This is my Reaper 2. And those are my Game Envy ones. And there's my Reaper 1. Alright. How are people doing today? How's your Thursday going? Alright. Eyes come down. So there's some belt around the pants. Alright, you know what? This is just not doing it for me. I don't know if it's doing it for you, but I don't like this meditation stuff. So let's get into something else. How about synthwave? Is synthwave... Oh, no, trance. Let's do trance and see what that does. Thank you. Yeah, right? I don't know what that was. Alright, make sure, somebody make a note. Do not put meditation on. That is not the channel we want. Alright. So we got some straps in the back. So let's get some straps done here. So we're just going to go in. Very carefully. Very softly. We're just going to kind of... Might not have mixed that very well. So I know it looks like I'm painting on the miniature, but remember, we did put a gray layer of paint on here to show off the true nature of these colors. So what I'm doing is I'm just holding it upside down and I'm getting the edge of this belt right here. Trying to stay away from the skin, but it's okay if we get on the skin. We haven't done anything in the back here. So if you remember from last week, we did mix this dark brown in the skin, so I can actually paint the skin over any mistakes I make and it will look fine. So I'm just trying to make sure that I have some paint on the brush. And I'm only using the tip. Notice that I don't have that much paint on this brush. You can paint with a 1, you can paint with a 2, you can paint with a 4. The problem here is that I just don't have a tip anymore on this brush. You can see it. There's no more tip on this brush. So I shouldn't even be using this brush. I should get a new one. See, I'll show you the difference. Here's the Reaper 2. So I don't know if you could see. Let's see. I don't know if you can actually see the tip. Let's see if I can do this. Let's see if I can do it here. See that tip right there? Right? Now if I look at the Reaper 1, See how... And I'll show you the difference here. One has a much sharper tip. I don't know if I can get close to it. But you could kind of see how one has a tip and the other one doesn't. The sharper the tip, the more areas you can paint in. This Reaper one, even though it's lost its tip, I can still use it as a glaze brush. It still makes a nice glaze brush. Alright. So, we have a belt sort of on his pants, but there's all kinds of things on the belt. So I'm just going to go ahead and just paint the belt for right now. I'll end up using this Reaper 1 to kind of glaze in some more of the skin tone. Remember we were glazing some of the skin tone on the arms? You can actually see, maybe you can see, there's some circles there with layers that I still need to glaze down. So those of you that were with me on Tuesday, you got to see how I glazed the eyes on Mr. Warduke. And so that's kind of the premise that we're using for the skin, is to kind of get that nice blending in. Alright. I know I'm talking very much and I'm not painting very much. So we're gonna paint the belt. So there's like these large circle studs on his belt that we'll get to after. So you can go ahead and just paint over those for right now. And just get his belt kind of taken care of. If you're painting along. Maybe you're not painting along. Maybe you just want to see how to do a belt, which is totally fine too. This one has a lot of stuff on it. Again, I'm trying to put the miniature in a place where I can easily paint stuff. If you're having to contort your hand into certain areas, that's not good news for you. And it's not good news for Grimkel. So we want to make sure that we're getting as much freedom of our brush as we can. So that's why I turn him and I try to get to a position where I can paint much easier. Alright. And then there's this little spot right here. I don't think I'm going to be able to get it right here, so I'll go to a thinner brush. I'm not looking to paint everything brown here, but I'm going to go to a thinner brush just to get inside this, between the skull and the belt on top. So we're going to do that. And just making sure that I get everywhere I need to get. So even under that skull. And that's part of his flesh, but there is a little piece right under the skull here. There we go. Alright, it looks like his belt really comes down all the way through. So we're going to actually go ahead and we're going to paint that part of the belt. It comes through this like metal clasp, so I'm going to kind of not paint over the metal clasp, but I'm going to paint all around it. I mean, if you do paint over the metal clasp, then it's fine. You don't have to worry too much because it's going to end up getting a black on it, but I kind of like trying to see where I can paint and not put a lot of extra paint onto the miniature, onto places that I know are not going to get the color I'm using. Sometimes you just have to, and it's fine. You just have to paint over it. I'm just trying to make sure. If you're using thin paints, it doesn't matter. You can paint wherever you want. But if you're using a little bit thicker paints, you want to make sure that you're leaving just enough detail so you can see what you're doing. Because if you're not going to leave that detail, then you're not going to be able to see where to paint the different colors and make the different effects. All right. All right, we're going to take a step back and we're going to look. So these boots, I'm going to do brown, but they have these studs on them that I'm not sure. I might actually do those black. Because see, he has these belt straps back here. So I'm trying to figure out, if I paint the boots brown, then these straps have to be something different. And this armor plate in front has to be something different. So I might actually do that a different color. So maybe we're not going to do those brown. All right. There we go. Watching along for now. All right. Watching along for now. Nice. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a little bit of my ivory color. We're going to play a little mixology here. I'm going to make some tan boots. I think I'm going to make a very muted out yellow. Now, this is going to splurge on me. Let me mix this up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the mahogany, and I'm going to add some ivory, and I'm going to add some yellow. So what we want to do is get some of this ivory on our palette. Alright, you know what? I'm very conservative with my paint, and I shouldn't be. I should just be using it. I got enough of it, right? Alright, and then we want some yellow, so get out my old mixing brush. Yellow has a lot of white, and so does ivory, so we're going to have to thin this out a little bit. So I'm just going to put some yellow on here. I don't need a lot of yellow. I can do a lot with the yellow. Alright. So we're going to take one shot of the yellow. So I'll just put it right here. And take 2 shots of the ivory. So 1, 2. See how that works? And we're going to take 1 shot of the mahogany. So mahogany is dark color, so this is really going to be powerful. So I'm just going to mix it all together. It looks a little too yellow for me, so we're going to add a little bit more mahogany, and we're going to brighten it up. There we go. Now, I'm going to take some medium or water, depending on your choice, and we're going to mix that all up. Remember, a medium like water or glazed medium will actually mix all that up. Make sure that all those colors are in there. So that was actually, what was that? That was 3 ivories, 2 mahoganies, and 1 yellow. That's what got me this color. So now if I need to make more of it, I know what to do. Very stingy with paint, so sometimes I don't make enough. And then I'm going to just paint the entire boot in this color. And then that way I have a place to go with the straps. So the straps will end up being the mahogany color. And this might be a little too thin, but that's fine. We can just add another coat afterward. But I'm going to stay away from the armor plates in the front. This is not a glaze. I think I just made the paint a little too thin, because I was worried about the ivory and the yellow being too thick. But that's good, because I won't be... So this is the case where I was talking, like, you could just paint over all of the back here, right? And you're not going to lose any detail because it's thin enough where it's not really going to settle in. All right. So these boots have a lot of belts and studs. There's an armor plate right there. I'll just get rid of some of the pooling. So, you know what, that might be just a little too thin. I mean, it's good, but this is a tabletop piece. It's not really a competition piece. So I'm going to go ahead and just add some more. So was it 3, 2, 1? So I have to add one of these, one of these, one of these. Keeping with the same brush, one of these. One of these. That's 3, 2. And I need one of these. And make sure that gets all nice and mixed in there to make the color we need. And we'll try it again. This time on the other boot. Didn't work out. Why is that much more tanner? Did I not put enough yellow in? I don't know why it's not coming out the way I need it to. Let's see. Now I want to add a little bit of ivory. I might have added too much mahogany the first time. I think that's what my problem was. This should be a much better consistency. Yeah, much better. Okay. There we go. Now we just do this. See, it's not so thin, but it's not that thick where it's not gonna cover up detail. It's just enough. Yeah, so I just added too much medium, and then when I was reconstituting it, I think I added too much of the mahogany in there. So, I mean, I didn't have to do that. I'm just trying to save time. But you can just, like, I could have just painted with that same thin coat over this, and it would have been just as fine. Now I can't just go over everything because I'm afraid that it's going to eat the details, so I'm just going to kind of paint around the belts. I know people are probably talking, or maybe you're painting along. I'll look up in a second. I'm trying to increase my speed for painting, so I figure if I do some paint alongs like this, it'll force me to actually paint quicker. Because normally I would just take forever to do a piece like this, and that's not going to help me increase my productivity and my backlog. I mean, there's times where you should take your time and do stuff, but not on everything. Like, it takes me a year to do a skeleton. That's not right. And we're just looking, making sure that I have everything I need. And even if I don't, I'm painting like the inside of the boot, which means that there's stuff on the outside that I can actually paint. So it's fine if you miss something, or you paint over an outside belt. It's harder to miss something on the inside and try to go back on the inside to paint it, because then if you've already painted the belts on the outside of the boot, then, and you have to go back and paint inside the boot, you have to be so careful. And it looks like he's got some fur up here, and I'm going to do it the same color as the boot for right now, but when I go in and start highlighting, this might actually get another shade. I might go more ivory on the fur up there. There we go. So it doesn't look like much. It looks like he's just wearing these god-awful boots. But once we start getting all of the other colors in there, they won't look so bad. Alright. So as I move around the miniature, it's just to let things dry. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get into the beard right now. And I'm going to kind of let things settle down just a bit. So we're going to get some of our red out. Now this is an air paint, which means it's already pretty thin. If you're using an acrylic, it might be a little thicker. So you have to kind of just gauge when we add in our colors. Like I will not thin this out really much right now, because it's already thin. And so what I did, I don't remember what I did to mix this red in, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this red, and I'm going to mute it down with just a little bit of mahogany. Remember, we did a 1-for-1, I think, with this. But this time I don't want to. All I really want to do is darken that down a little bit. So I'm going to use this mahogany just to darken this down. And like I said, it's pretty thin, so... I just don't want it super bright. But I don't want it to be the same color we used for the beard, so that looks good, just like that. So what I want to do is I want this red base, and I'm just going to go in. And now there's two schools of thought here. We can just go in and start sketching highlights on the beard. I'm going to try to pull out some strands, though, before I do anything. So I'm just going to kind of load up my brush here. And I'm just going to find some strands and just kind of paint those really quick. So it's just this line. So if you're not comfortable painting a straight line, then you need to put the miniature in a position where you could just make a straight line. Okay. And as it dries, it should just kind of like disappear into the rest of the beard, but it should have a little bit of a highlight to it. And that's kind of what you want. You don't want to go too bright just yet. You're just trying to pick out some of these little strands here that are nicely molded for you. Sculpted. Again, it's not our final highlight color, so we don't have to worry too much about being super perfect here. Okay. Now with the beard, you can do either long strokes, so I could go and do a curve. Usually on a mustache, I kind of like hitting it with small strokes. Just kind of, and if it ends up where you just get one line, that's totally fine. But it could give appearance that it could be textured. Now with the hair, with the mohawk, I'm going to stay away from the upper part. That's where most people kind of make a mistake. And I'm just going to stay on the outside. I just want the halo effect. So I'm just going to kind of do these little sort of streaks. And I could go a little deeper in, but I don't want to go too far in. I want it to have a little bit of a, whoops, I got a little red on the skull, which we could fix later. So it just kind of gives it a little definition like that. And there's another little strand right here I can get at. Just trying to find out where there's some hair that I can grab and throw out there. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to do this one more time with this red color. But this time I'm not going to do every strand. I'm only going to do where it kind of curves, right? So like anything that curves, kind of like it'll be in the front, right? So this one curves, this one curves, this one curves right here, this curves down, his mustache curves. I'm just redoing the same color, but I'm not going all over the place. And it kind of gives it an appearance of this color is now kind of hitting the light. But we're gonna, whoops. That was bad. Let me fix that really quick. This is what we mixed last week, so I can just get this color back in. There we go. So what you want to do is just hit the curves of your beard. And then I'll just kind of stipple on the outer portion of this hairline. Oh, get rid of it, get rid of it. So I'm just going to kind of make them all nice and bloody. Get a lot of water in there. And then, look at that. I just soak it right back up. Water is the erasing tool. You gotta do it quick though. Saying like nothing ever happened to him. But the problem is now his skull is all wet up there, so if I try to do anything up here, it's just gonna bleed through. So using a nice dry brush here. See, I missed right there. Alright. Just drying it out. Okay. And we're gonna try this again. This time with feeling. I was too busy talking and I wasn't watching where my brush was going. Alright. See if there's any questions. No questions. Everybody's just watching. Cool. Alright. And we're just going to kind of hit. With that same color, I'm just going to kind of hit on the edge. Still kind of just poking at it. Because I wanted to make it look like it has some texture there. And I'm not going all the way to the back like I did with the first pass. I'm just kind of going to do that. Alright. Now we're going to get to the red. This time I'm going to use pure red. Again, if this is an air paint, so it's naturally thin. So that's kind of what you want. So if it's looking way too red, then you want to make sure it's thin enough to blend in. Now with this is a very vibrant red. So I'm going to do the same exact thing as I did before. I'm just going to hit the curves with this. And you're going to watch the hairs just pop. So I'm just doing the hairs where it's curving. So anywhere where it's curving is where I want to go. It's the same if you were doing normal hair. Wherever the curve happens. So like right here on his mustache, that's a curve right there. Right here on his mustache, that's a curve right there. Maybe back here just a little bit. Right? I'm not doing the whole hair, I'm just doing where it curves. So like right here, this would curve. This would curve. This would curve. So that's kind of what you want to do. And as you start to see, this starts to pull away, but it's only red. We haven't gotten into the oranges yet. But as you're doing this, I can start to see that my orange or my lighter red's going to come over here. It's going to pop over here. It's going to pop over here. And that's what you want. So we start with that nice dark red, that deep red, that flat red. I also see that there's a little piece of hair right here. So we'll do that. There we go. Alright, so I could go to the orange right now, but I'm going to use this yellow because it's already on my palette. So I'm going to take some of this yellow. Because red is darker than yellow, I'm going to put the yellow off to the side and just keep going until I think I have enough red in there. So that looks a little too bright. And it looks like two reds and a yellow does a good job here. Makes a nice little reddish orange. If I want to do a little bit more yellow, I can. Remember, yellow is a pretty potent color. There we go. That looks good. A little bit of water just to kind of mix it around in there. and hopefully the wet palette shows. I know it's so small, but this color is different than the red we were using. There's some yellow in this. And all we're going to do is, again, hit those curves. I don't want to hit the whole, I don't want to lose all the red that we put in there, but you can start to see it's starting to pull away a little bit. That's kind of what we want. And as it dries, it goes away, kind of turns invisible. So you might say to yourself, oh my god, I just put so much on. Wait till it dries and then see if you put too much on. I do the same thing up on the hair as I did before. This time I'm just going to kind of stipple in the corner here. Stippling is just kind of dotting. You know, you're not making it a really tight or edge highlight. You're just kind of putting like little dots or hairs. You start to see the hair kind of pull away. Get a little more yellow in here. Really push that orange now. And I'm going to go ahead and just get a little bit of ivory in here. Make it nice and bright. Although that didn't even look like it came out bright. And with this color, I'm just going to go in and see how close to that curve I can just... I want to make this nice and little. So I kind of just want to stay near the curve or the tip of the beard. Right here on the tip. Make up just a faint line here. Whoops, that might have been too much. Right on the tip of the mustache here. Maybe I'll get right about in here. Maybe some light hits right here. Notice that I haven't gone back. Like, I'm not in the back of him anymore. I'm just letting all that just sit. And I'll do the same thing up here. I'll just try to stick to the corners here. Alright, let's see. Is this even showing up on camera? Oh, yeah. Alright. Now, last thing we're going to do is we're going to push the ivory a little bit. I'm just going to go in and really kind of push this ivory to a very bright orange. And what we want to do is really stay close to that. We want to, So all the hair, I mean, a beard is a little difficult to do it with, and we're trying to do it, but we're going to try to stay in this linear pattern right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of hit with this bright orange right here, right here, maybe a little bit there, right here, right there, and nothing back here, maybe a little bit there. And we're going to do that same linear pattern right here. So like maybe there, there. And let's see, I'm just trying to figure out, maybe right here is one. And then I'm going to stay right in the front of the hair. It's going to be right here. Oops. And I think I'm missing a piece, right? I think I'm missing a highlight right in here. I want to do too much of a highlight. Alright. So you can keep it right there. That's fine to keep right there. But what I can do is I can glaze over that with a red and really bring that red out. I would probably want to pop the colors just a little bit more to bring out that red. But the other thing is that I think I could actually go in and darken some of these hairlines by going back to my mahogany and my red. And very carefully just kind of get into some of these shadows. But if you don't want to do this, that's perfectly fine. Remember, this is just a tabletop guy. I mean, I could play all day long with this. I'm just putting in, I went over some of the strands with that mahogany color, so I'm just kind of putting them back in. There we go. And like I said, I could go over this and glaze this with a red. And bring in that red back. I did something to this, and now I'm trying to blend it back in. He's like missing something. I painted over something, and now I can't figure out what I did. Alright. Anyway, we're not going to go too much farther into that. We have some boots to worry about. So we're going to go back into our mahogany and start doing some belts on the boots. Now that this is all dry, just going to go in and paint these brown stripes. And I'm going to probably do the armor plates black. So I want to do the black stuff as the final step for the episode. So I'm just going through, finding all the belt straps. This is why we do the belt straps over the tan boots. And I'm doing a little bit of lining with this belt, but the brown liner is what I'm really going to be using to kind of complete the piece and finish everything off. All right. So we'll get this going. So I'm not exactly, I think this is a buckle back here. And I think I missed some tan. I'll have to go and paint that after. Oops. Even I make mistakes because you know why I made that mistake? Because I didn't put the miniature in a place where I could paint that. That's why I made that mistake. I am trying to do this in a way I can't be confident. So I have a couple cleanup spots to worry about. We're not going to do that on stream. I will clean that up off stream. Just know that I messed up because I didn't take the time to move the miniature in a place where I should be painting. Alright. Hopefully you got to see all that. Alright. I think what I'm going to do... I'm going to make this brown, this bracer brown. I was thinking of making it metal, but it's got these studs on it, and I think it'll look sharper as a brown. We can add some decoration to the edges here. What I mean by decorations, I mean we can make the trim either metallic, or we can make it gold, or we could do a different color. Just painting around the arm. Find a spot you can paint and paint it up. Brush control is your friend, but you have to be able to Don't take the shortcuts. If you can't write upside down, you shouldn't paint upside down. Like I can't paint going right to left. I have to always go left to right. And I always have to come towards me instead of away from me. So I have to make sure that the miniature is in that position for me to do. Okay. There we go. He's starting to look a little bit more together. Problem is he has no other color other than this brown and black and things like that. So we have to get some color on him. So I think what I want to do, let's get the blue out. Let's start with some blue. I think the blue, yeah. That's what I'll do. All right. Let's get some color in him. That way you know where to go if you're painting him on your own. And I'm going to wash out this blue a little bit. And I'm going to use the ivory to do it. So I'm going to use some ivory. And I'm going to use a little bit of blue. Make a nice light blue. So I did 3 blues and 1 ivory. Use some water to mix all that up. Alright, should be using this brush to mix, but alright, so the reason I'm doing that is because I kind of want this to be a sort of a lighter blue color, and then I'm going to wash it out a little bit more with the ivory. So I'm just going to paint this blue, and as I do this, all of a sudden with all of this muted color and this orangey type beard, this blue is just going to be the most eye-popping thing on here, because it's, even though it's muted, it's the coolest color that's on here so far. Everything else is warm, and so this color being so on the colder side is gonna just be the eye catcher because everything else is warm. But once you start adding other cooler colors to this miniature, which we'll do eventually, this doesn't become the focal point. And again, I kind of want to mute this out a little bit more by adding more ivory to it, but I want to start out with this lighter blue color. And we're just going to be very careful around. So see how that just kind of pops out at you? So if you have a color that's popping out and it's taken away from a lot of your stuff that you painted, chances are it's because it's the only color contrasting other things, whether it's color contrast, temperature contrast. Everything is muted and this becomes a vibrant color. So that's part of the problem, right? We muted out a lot of the stuff. Even that red is kind of muted. This isn't muted yet. So it's not really, that's why it's an eye-popping color, is because it's the most vibrant thing on here right now. All right. Now he's ready for the table. But we're not done with him. We're not done by a long shot. Losing places to put color. You're losing places to put color? That's the beauty of these paints is like, I'm not, you can put color anywhere. There's a lot of detail on here that you can add color to, which I'm going to show you in just a second. So on this band here, he's got some stitches. Now we could do those as a vibrant red. We can do those as a blue. We can do that however we want. He's also got stitches here on his pants. Right? So we can do the stitches red, or we can do the stitches blue on the pants. So in order to mix up all of the colors, I'm going to try to go with a red stitch on the pants, and I'm going to try to go with a blue stitch on the bracer. That pushes up the blue on top and bottom, and then the red will be on top and bottom as well. I just have to do one thing. This is going to bother me if I don't do it now. So I'm just going to go in and just kind of paint this in. All right. Again, we're only putting in our color blocking. We haven't really done much of anything else. I could do a lot more. You know, like I could sit here and spend time doing the pants and just spend the entire time doing the pants, but we kind of want to see the roadmap of what we're going to do. I don't want to go too far until we have, you know, because there's these belts here that I want to get to, but in these boots we want to get to. So there's a lot of things that we can do on the miniature. I'm kind of glad that we got through this this beard thing. I could go farther with this beard, just to give you an idea, by just really popping that orange. All right. So here's this orange. Right, so I have this nice bright orange, and I could just sit here and I could just dot, like, right here, right here. You know, I can make this nice and bright. And then I can go in and do a nice little red wash. Alright. See, we just gave him a little bit more highlights on his beard. And then if I go in with a wash, I can bring all that back down to a red. But I'm not going to do it now because there's other pieces of the miniature we want to paint, so we want to stay away from that filter and glaze right now. We just want to continue on, so I am going to add a little mahogany to my little tan here, just to make it a little bit more. And I don't know if you can see the difference in all of those shades there, but I'm going to actually make this a glaze. So that just means some water or medium. That means we mix it up. I'm using my smaller brush to mix it up because I feel like I waste a lot with the bigger brush. So if you look, see how I'm just kind of mixing this around and that paint is starting to stay in a pool? That's kind of what you want to see. See how this red is breaking up? So if I was to use this as a glaze, that's how it would dry on the miniature. And we don't want that. We want it to dry as a solid piece. So if you're ever looking to know if you have a good consistency for your glaze, just take a look at the paint and see if it breaks up like that, because that's how it's going to dry if you glaze with it. Alright. Need a paper towel? Test out the glaze on the thumb. It's looking good. I can see my white thumb in there. And we're going to load up that brush. Look at that. Look at that brush. Nice and, whoops. Alright. And then if I just touch the paper towel, see, now I got a nice, much sharper point to that. And now I can actually kind of glaze in some of these shadows. So like, there's a shadow right here. There's a shadow right about here. Right? You just want this glaze to kind of shadow in certain areas. So we're going to kind of focus on the boots here a little bit. Each time I go off camera, I'm just kind of adding a little bit to the paper towel. Just a little thing right here. Again, it will always dry darker than what it goes on. But hopefully you can start to see that little small transition of color. Again, I know what you're arguing about. You're saying, but this is just a game piece. Why are we doing this? Well, it's a game piece, but I get to practice certain things on a game piece. So even though that I'm practicing and I may not be successful at a lot of stuff, it's gonna read. It'll look good on the table as you're doing it because you're trying to make everything pop. But I wouldn't be doing this if I needed it right away. So basically anywhere where things kind of are recessed is where I'm putting this. And what I'll do is I'll add a little bit more mahogany to that. So as I'm mixing this, see how it's separating? See how that separates? That's not good. Let's get some water in there. It's sort of like what you don't want to happen. let's see how dark this is. Again, glaze is not a wash. You want to control where it's going. And by doing this, you get to see where to put highlights. So on this, I have this color here. So I could add ivory to that color. But I think I'm going to add a little bit of yellow. And ivory, so I can get away from the mahogany. And now this is a layer, so I don't want to glaze this on. I want to layer my highlights and glaze in the shadows. So I'm just going to kind of hit this right about here. And then I can glaze all this back in when I'm ready to. So I'm just putting in, sketching the highlights, right? This is sketch and glaze. So you sketch in your highlights where you want your highlights to be. And then we're going to kind of glaze over that. So I think I'm just going to do this. And let's see. This looks like a good spot for that highlight. And this looks like a good spot for that highlight. Let's heal. So that glaze that we did kind of really dictates sort of where the highlights can go. Again, I'm not worried about actual lighting. This isn't a competition piece, so you don't have to worry too much about, oh, the light doesn't shine over here. I mean, it's good to worry about that stuff, but I'm not going to worry about it for this guy. I just want to give him a chance to. So what I'm going to do is actually use this glaze here, or this color rather, and I'm going to make a glaze out of this. This is already nice and thin, but I want to make a glaze from it because that's what we started with. So as I'm moving this around, look what happens. See how it separates? We don't want that to happen. So I'm going to add some water from my water bottle, just to show you can do it with water. All right. And see how all of that kind of pulls back together? Look at that. It doesn't separate. See how that red is separated? Again, that's how a highlight will dry on your miniature if you do that. You want to make it so that this all pulls back together. All right. We'll take this, and even though it's a lighter color than what we started with, it's not lighter than our highlight. So I'm just going to go in, and I'm just going to kind of paint over that edge line that we did. Remember, this is the original color we painted the boots with. So I just want to soften those highlights. So wherever those highlights happen, wherever that line is that you just drew, that's what I'm doing with this. I'm just painting over that line. I'm not washing the boot. I'm just painting over that line. So like right here, there's a line. This is what we did Tuesday. So I'm just gonna kind of just paint over that line. You may not be able to get rid of it the first pass through. You might have to wait and do it again. There's a lot of lines I put over here. So we'll have to wait and see how that works out. And remember to make sure every glaze dries before you go back and hit it again. It's probably the #1 thing people do wrong. It's like, okay, I'll go back and do it again. It's not covering, so I'll go back and cover it again. Doesn't work that way. Oops, wrong one. Let it dry. Now I'm back to the front of the foot. Try to get rid of this if I can. Oops, too much moisture on the brush. It's going in my recesses. We don't want that. Let's see. Where was that edge? That's got a little more wetness to it. Let's see. Let's see if I can do this. Made a little edge highlight right here. Let's soften that out. Soften this one out. So see, that one had some lines to it that now looks like they're ready to leave. Just a few more. That's how you get the smooth transitions. Again, wait until the glaze dries before you go in there. And you may not even care about doing this for a game piece. But if you practice it, things look kind of nicer down the road. I like how that turned out. And this helps you with skin tone. So if I was doing his skin, I'd be doing exactly the same thing as I'm doing now. Except I'd be doing it with the flesh colors instead of the tan colors. And I could go up another one. I could add ivory into that color again and hit the highlights again and glaze everything down with the color that we used as the original highlight. But I don't want to do that. What I want to do is add ivory to this color that we made. I'm still in the entire family of this mahogany yellow tan color. And I'm going to go in and just kind of pick out all of these little furries right here. And I'm going to try to keep as much darkness as I can in between. But I'm not totally worried because I can always shade if I need to. I know I'm probably going a little fast for people. They're like, wait, what did he just do? Did he just add ivory to that? Which color did he add ivory to? Yeah, so I want to make this a little bit more furrier. It's probably not supposed to be furrier. Maybe it's part of the metallic armor piece. But we're going to pretend it's fur. There we go. Alright, what time do we have here? 10:33. So I have a half hour to go. I think what we're going to do, we worked on the boots a little bit. And definitely can get more highlights in the boots, but we're not going to do that just yet. I think what I'm going to do right now, there's a lot of gray on him. And I want to do the black at the end because black is a dark color. So we're going to go to the belt. I think we're going to go to the belt. We're going to work on the belt. So here's how we're going to do the belt. We're going to take the original belt color, which was the mahogany. I'm going to actually use a bigger brush for this. To mix, not to paint. I use a bigger brush, and I'm going to go to the original belt color. So whatever you use for the original belt color, we're going to put out there. And I'm going to add a smidge of ivory. Not much ivory. I just want it to be a little bit lighter than what I had. But I want to bring out some of the red again. So we're going to add some red to that. So I think for recipe's sake, I think it's like four mahoganies, 1 ivory, and it's probably going to end up being 2 reds. Because I want to get sort of this reddish color here. I think I add too much red. So I want something that looks like this. It's going to be sort of a very brownish red, but the ivory kind of brings out a little bit more of the highlight. So it's going to be a little bit more muted. Than you want the dark brown, but you want a little bit of red. And some ivory. I'm going to add a smidge of yellow to that. So it should look still red, but you do have some orange. And I'm going to go in and I'm just going to kind of layer over the edges of the belt. So because it has the mahogany in it, it should work well on the mahogany belt. And I'm just going to kind of stay towards the inside of the belt. And we're going to do the same on the other side. So I want the mahogany to be on the inside of the belt. and this color on the outside of the belt. And it's going to look bright at the beginning, and then all of a sudden it's going to go away because it's going to dry. But really what I want this red for, or this reddish brown, is because I want to paint around these little balls on the, or studs on the belt itself. So the mahogany for these belts was just to get an acrylic layer on there so I could see this. So you're just going to paint around those little studs. And if you can't get to all of it, that's fine. The mahogany will shade for you. That's why we put the mahogany in there, to shade for you. And what I'm not doing is I'm not going on the sides of the belt like we did with the mahogany. I'm just doing the front. All right. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the inside here. I'm just going to paint on the inside of this little plaque. And if you're looking ahead, if you've fast forward this video, you don't need to, because I will tell you, yes, you're going to have to do this on the boots as well. So if you're looking to go ahead, you can work on the boots. All I'm doing is the inside and around these little studs with this nice reddish brown. I'm using the mahogany to be its own shade. Like if I didn't want to do underneath here, don't. You don't have to. Okay. Where this is really going to come into play is right here on this. I'm just going to kind of, again, the edge here, turn the curve. Right here on this side of the holes for that part of the belt, and then on this side of the holes. Leaving those holes in the mahogany. And you should start to see some definition, but we're not done. We're not done. Because we're going to pop this a little bit more as we go. Alright. Oops, that's my mahogany. That's not what I want. I want this color. Again, I'm just going to go and do the top edge and the bottom edge of the belt. You could do the whole belt if you wanted to. I like to have a little bit of that mahogany showing through, but sometimes it's not possible. So if you have to do the whole belt, then do the whole belt. Which is where I'm going now, because for some reason I can't seem to get, I mean, I can always paint the mahogany back in. I think that's probably what I'm going to have to do. I'll just kind of paint the whole thing this color. Alright. I think on this side, this boot, I think you have to. I think it's too thin to worry about doing the mahogany. I mean, some people can do it. I probably could do it if I really kind of tried to tried to get it, the edge highlight as thin as I could. Problem is that if it's a game piece, who's going to see it if you do that much detail? They're looking at it on the table. But if a judge is going to pick it up and look at it closely, then you might want to do it. Then you might have to spend the time perfecting the skill of edge highlighting small areas. And I never did the front. I'm gonna have to do the front. That'll be another thing I do off stream. I don't think I did the front of these belts brown. So we have to do these mahogany, and then we have to do them with that reddish brown that we did. This underneath has studs, but I'm going to do this black, I think. So I'm not going to do that, the mahogany brown. Alright. Well, now that you've done all of that, chances are everything is dry. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that color and we're going to add a little bit more ivory to it. Now I'm going to put my ivory off to the side, and the reason I'm doing that is because as I collect this, it's going to really kind of stain that ivory. So I want to make sure that I'm not, I don't want to go too bright, but I don't want to lose the highlight. So I'm just kind of here on the shade, just trying to figure out where this shade's going to be. Again, this will be a layer, so it's not a glaze. So I don't really care if it's messing up on me here. Okay. And with this, I'm going to add a little bit more yellow to this. And then you're going to use this color to go in and really, now is where you want to really practice your edge highlighting. So I'm going to just do this belt right here. Just going to kind of, and what happens is that yellow that's in this brown mixes with that red, and it really makes a nice popping brown. But now you just want to edge highlight certain areas. You don't want to do the whole thing. See? Right there. The beauty of edge highlighting. Whoops. Just lost my brush. Sure I'm not missing anything in chat. I've been talking for a while. Everybody's been painting. It's great. Hopefully everybody's been painting and watching. So all I'm doing now is taking this color, this nice popping color, and I'm just kind of doing the edge highlighting. Now when we're doing in here, what I like to do is I like to edge highlight on each side, and then in certain areas I like to make like the hourglass. All right, so you make the hourglass there. Do the same thing on the top, so it's two lines this way, and then you curve around the stud in each place, and I'll do the same exact thing on this side. So I'm not going to go all the way around because I don't want to lose everything we just did. But I'm only doing like the high areas. And I can always glaze back down if it becomes too bright. But see, like, that's nice and dark, so we won't worry too much about that. Alright, let's see. So I think we did this already. So let's go over back here. And we'll do the back here. Now, one trick that I learned from somebody is that they said if you hold the tip of the brush at an angle to the edge, you can get yourself a nice crisp line. So like, I don't know if I can do it this way. This is going to be a little tricky. But you just kind of use the side of the tip to draw that crisp line. What I need to do is this. This is a much more controllable area for me to go. And that's how you can get a nice crisp line onto the belt. So it's a lot of people try to use their tip like this, which you can do, but if you angle and use the side, you can get a nice uniform line. It takes a little practice because you could go fatter in certain areas. So if you're having problems edge highlighting, try that. Try to use the side of the brush or the tip on the edge highlight. Alright, let's see, where else? Alright, we're going to try this. We're going to try the belt. I'm just going to do a small edge highlight at the top. It might be a little too much close to the boot, but I'm going to go in with a brown liner and line in between these belts. So don't worry. Whoops. All right. It's not horrible. Not really happy with that edge highlight, but it's gonna be what it is. Alright. Well, we'll play around with that after. Alright. Taking that color again. This time I'm going to add some yellow to that. Really pop that yellow. And pop some of this ivory. And just a smidge of the red. Just to bring back in the red. And I'm just going to hit high spots now. So, kind of like right here is a nice high spot. And right here. Right? I don't want to do all of it. So like right here. And right here, because that's where the upper folds are. So that looks like that. grab down here. And with this color, you can actually kind of just do some, you can actually kind of just do little stipples, and it makes it look like it's a worn belt. So I'll do the same thing over here. So you can add a little bit of texture to your belts instead of having them, you know, nice and crisp. Just kind of, and sometimes they give you the little cut and dig that you can really pronounce or enhance. And then with this color, what I'll do is just gonna try to hit this edge. Looking good, thank you very much. Alright, we're almost at time, so I'm trying to save a lot of the cool stuff for later. Just trying to color block everything in. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start using some the black. And the first thing I'm going to do, I don't want to go completely black. Ooh. I'm going to use some of the ivory and mix it in with the black. I want to get like sort of a gray. Alright, let's see if we can get some black out. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so we're going to get some black. I'm going to actually use white. And that's where that wants to go. I didn't have to squeeze it. It just wanted to go there. And we'll get some mixing. So I'm going to take some ivory. Let's take 2 ivories and 1 white. Okay. Now I have 2 whites and an ivory, which means I'm going to need 3 blacks, but that's only going to make it a neutral gray. And I don't want it to be a neutral gray. I want it to be a little bit more of a darker gray. So I'm going to actually shoot it with 6 shots of black. Double this. Okay, so for each shot of white, I'm going to do 2 shots of black. So here's 1. 2. Now I did another shot of white, so I need 2 more shots of black. 1. That was a pretty big one. Here, we'll do this one too. And because we had the ivory in there, we're going to do 2 more shots of black to make it 6. Okay, and then we want to mix it up. So we'll grab some of my medium. Mix it all up so everything is good. And the reason we're doing this is because there's a place I want, you know, if you go completely black, then you don't have anywhere to go down. And the name of the game is to accent shadows and highlights. So that is my nice dark gray. I'm sure people could have a dark gray in their arsenal. I'm going to go ahead and do all these armor plates. I'm going to do anything that I want to be black in this color. Actually, I think solid black is not really black, by the way. I think it's more of like a dark gray. But it'll be fine for what we're doing. Because we're going to eventually go in and probably glaze this down to be black. But so the idea here is to, I want to finish off with the black, and then we'll get into some other stuff next week. I want to get into showing you how to do gemstones, and maybe we'll do some non-metallic gold on the handle, and we'll see if we do non-metallic gold on the sword. We have the silver for the sword, so I think if we do non-metallic gold, that should kind of give a hint to how to do the silver. Non-metallic gold is a little easier because I don't think you have to take the environment colors into play as you would with doing a silver. And then I think I want to do this as a black. So we'll go and do all of this nice and dark gray. And then the final week, which is the last week of April, we'll go through and we'll figure out how to line everything down in between materials and deciding which is the best color to use. I have the brown liner because I was going to do a lot of browns here, but we can use black and we can use other colors as well. And I have some touch-ups to do on the miniature, which we'll talk about as soon as we're done getting all the grays in. I'm going to go ahead and just paint this sword, this nice dark gray that we made. Kind of makes it a little bit more uniform. What else do we need? Oh, this belt buckle up here. So be careful that you're not hitting anything that you just painted over. So we need that latch. So what's nice about this gray color is that you can start to see where you want to put your metallic metals. All right, let's see, where else do we want to go here? Did those plates? Can't tell if that's a plate or if that's supposed to be a belt. I'm gonna go ahead and just paint this little thing here. I don't know if maybe this is something I messed up when I did it. I think this is a plate though, so maybe I didn't mess this up. I'll have to look. This might actually be a plate though, a studded plate like he has on the other boot. And I think what I'm gonna do is make the top of this boot. I'm gonna make the top of this boot a metallic, or not metallic, but a black version of it. So he's got like little studs in the top of this boot, and we'll just make the top of this boot black. Or maybe we'll figure out another color for it. Who knows? I may not like what I have here, so I may just decide to go a different route. That's the nature of these miniatures. Okay, so we have that, we have that. I'm gonna go ahead and paint this back here. So I know that this is a gray. But it's kind of dictating where I'm gonna put black. This may I may do this. This could be a metallic skull. I'm gonna have to think about that. But one of the things that I was gonna say is that with this nice gray that we have, you can actually go in to your bracer and you can get a nice small highlight on the bracer. You might not be able to see it yet, but you can do that. And I can also see where some highlights are with this black. I know I wasn't really going to highlight the black here, but then because I had the gray, I was like, you know what, we can do that. I'm just, as I'm moving this around the light, it's got like certain folds in the pants, so I'm just hitting it with this gray. And because the gray is pretty dark, it's a very subtle shift. So, hey, JP got rockets. Oh, we have some X-Men music going on. Let me just pause this. So, interesting thing, I try to find that soundbite that I put on for the raids. I cannot find it, so I have no idea where to lower that. But I will find out, and we will kind of shorten that down. JP Got Rockets, thank you so much for that raid. I appreciate you coming in with your 5 viewers. How was your stream? Anything you want to share with us, we're more than happy to view it. And welcome in, Raiders. My name is Geltip, and I'm a miniature painter, as you can see. And today we're just doing this little paint along. So in my Discord, I have a channel called Thursday Night Paint Alongs. So you have the option of joining the Discord, going into that channel, and finding out which miniature we're painting for the month. And then every Thursday of that month, we will be painting a miniature. So hopefully if you grab the miniature and you grab the paints that we're using, or the color palette we're using, I should say, then you can paint along with us. So this is Grimkel Bloodbeard from Reaper Miniatures. The SKU is 30102, and the colors that we're using is in the Discord. But I go through and I tell you what paints I'm using, and I was a little lazy, not lazy, but I didn't get to the alternative colors. So not everybody has all the paints that I use, or I don't have the paints you use. So I try to keep it very basic. For example, mahogany is a reddish brown. I use Pro Acryl mahogany, but you might want to use mahogany from a different paint company. You might use Rhinox Hide, I think, is the Citadel version of that. So I try to create alternate colors, but I don't normally do it. So I have the basic color scheme or color palette in there, and then the paints that I use, and you can match. So, and then we're just painting this guy up. Today we got through some of his beard, and we started doing we got into his boots and all of his belts on here. So that's kind of where we're at with him. My pleasure. Stream was quite pleasant and enjoyable. Awesome. Still working on some stuff for Sea Dog Game Studios. We'll post in Discord this weekend. Great. And I'm doing the red version of this. Let's go find out what that is. You're doing the red version. Oh, right. So, for those that don't know, JP Got Rocket, you create these, right? You make these? This is what you make. Now, are you selling them, or you're just painting them up? So this is what JP Rockets had sent us. If you want to look at that channel, that looks really cool, by the way. I kind of like that. Now, is that a crane? Is that just a terrain piece? What are we looking at here? So stuff headed to Sea Dog Game Studios. All this are more available and unpainted models for their booth at Adepticon 301. Nice. Look at this. There's the red one. There's the red one. Look at that. And there's a naked one. That's so cool. Oh, check that out. I like that. Yeah, looking sharp. I like it. I like it. Thank you. Whoops. We don't want to do that. I'm doing the crane to match the red industrial frame. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. So when you came in, streamers, raiders, I should say, we were just painting all the black portions of the miniature because we were kind of winding down for the evening. But that doesn't mean we're not going to keep on painting here. So what I'm doing is just going through and blocking out all of the black zones here, which is the trim. I think I'm going to do these metallics, so I'll get those to be a nice blackish color. Now you want to be careful here because you did a whole bunch of highlighting inside. You don't want to lose it. So we're just doing this. And what's nice about this gray color, as I said before, is you're able to see if you like it metallic, you can paint it metallic. And if you like it black, you can keep it on the black side. And then I'm trying to figure out if we want to do this shoulder pad as a bone color or if we want to do this as a silvery color, because it has this little chip up here. I think it would be kind of cool as a bone color myself, because there's too much black going on all over the Vinny. So I think that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and do. You know what I'm gonna do? I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and do this black right here, and I'm gonna do that scabbard a mahogany color. I'm doing the crane to match the red. Oh, yep, got it. So we're all set. Brian Carnes is a sculptor and designer. Oh, sweet. Oh, yeah, see, I knew I missed more. Nicest Holiday Inn Express I've ever seen. Hey, what's going on, Black Stuff? 1965, what's going on? Thank you for chatting. Nicest Holiday Inn Express I've ever seen. Is that what that's supposed to be? Is the Holiday Express? Holiday Inn Express? That's pretty funny, actually. Oops. See what happened? See what happened? I wasn't paying attention. I got black all over this. So that I have to kind of clean that up. You can clean that up with water. You just take some water. You go in here. Oops, it's a little too much water. You go in here. You just kind of add water. Then you spread it on the paper towel. You add water. Spread it on the paper towel, and it erases that mistake you just made. But the problem is you can't go back and fix anything there right now because that's all kind of wet with water. So you have to let that dry. And then once it dries, you can go back and clean it up. So, all right. So that's that. So I can't do anything with the scabbard now because that's all wet back there. We did all of that stuff. All right. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna make this a bone color skull. And how do I do that? Oh, it's easy. We're gonna start with a nice dark brown, which is our mahogany. And I'm gonna add just a smidge of ivory to that. Nothing else, just ivory. And I'm gonna paint over that skull. And we're going to do this little shoulder pauldron next to his head. Now remember, we used mahogany in pretty much everything we've done so far. The belts, the flesh, the beard. So if you happen to mess up and get it on the belt or the flesh, we can always kind of fix that out. And so basically what's going to happen is when we come back next week, I should have a lot of this kind of cleaned up. So I'll probably work on the flesh. Hopefully I'll have time to work on the flesh. We're going to work on the flesh and get that to be ready to go. So that's the flesh. We started the flesh. We were starting these arms right here and the face. and then this side of him. So I haven't done anything else anywhere on his flesh. So I'll work on that so that you guys can see how that looks when we're done. It's basically just keep glazing, you know, keep highlighting in certain areas, glaze it down, highlight it in certain areas, glaze it down. Um, there's some stuff in here that needs to get kind of cleaned up. I will also go in and clean up all of these boots. It's the same thing. We kind of mix those colors in. We kind of glaze things down. You can start to see how I lost those edge highlights right here, and it kind of blends in. This hasn't lost its edge highlights, so I'll probably go in and clean that up a little bit. But when we come back next week, it's kind of like I want to do some non-metallic gold. We'll do a gemstone. We'll fade this blue out, and then we'll get some stitching in. So we got some stuff to do next week. Work on the flesh. That sounds sketchy. It is sketchy. It's sketch and glazes. We sketch and glaze. And then we'll get some eyes here. So we'll have to figure out, do we want blue eyes, green eyes, or teal eyes, I should say. You know, so we'll figure out what kind of eyes we want here. And then, you know, we might be able to do some non-metallic metal on this sword. It kind of is flat enough to try some non-metallic metal. We'll see. But there's a lot more to do, and we're going to do all these studs. I'm going to just use that silver, and I'm going to get into most of these studs, and we'll do some more edge highlighting. And then the last Thursday, we'll start lining stuff out and touching stuff up. But there he is. That's so from where he was. And I was gonna do this. I was gonna do some of this ivory thing, but it's still kind of wet, so I don't think we're gonna have time to do that. So once we start getting the metal work in here and the stitching, it'll look a lot nicer. So that's what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna go in, and over the course of the time, I'm going to clean up some of the flesh and clean up some of my mistakes that I made using the boots and the belts. But you can watch the video to figure out how we did all of the browns for the belts and the browns for the boots, and you can look at how we did his beard. Now, I did say that we were going to filter the beard at the end, so that's what we're going to do. We started out with a nice muted red, and we brought it to this nice highlighted orange, which looks good as it is. You can keep it that way. I'm going to take it one step farther, and I'm just going to go down with a red glaze. So we're going to get out our original red, which is Evil Scuns Scarlet. Evil Scuns. And we're just going to take a little bit of that. And we're just going to find a spot here. Let's find this spot. Now, look what happens when I paint with this. See this? That's how, if I was to glaze with this is how it would look. We don't want that. Right? We don't want it to separate. We don't want it to go, that's a spattering. That's not a glaze. So what we're going to do is we're going to add 3 shots of medium. And watch this. So we're going to do this. And it should all pull back. Look at how it pulls back all at one stage. Oh, that one didn't come back. So you know what that means, right? It means we need another shot of medium. And water works just as well. But I wouldn't keep adding a bunch of medium, just add drop after drop. What you want to do is, as you spread it out, it all kind of sucks back in. That's how we make a nice glaze. See how it all kind of goes back in? You don't get all of this smattering. Look at all this smattering that we get over here. So we're just going to kind of glaze this out.
Hello there.
So I have that sound alert when somebody raids. I can't find it now. I don't know where it comes from, but it's forever. It takes forever. YGM Monologuing, thank you so much for that raid. How are you, sir? Welcome in, TC Gentry. We are almost finishing up. We were just gonna go over glazing the beard and the hair, the mohawk here. That was our last step, and then we were gonna kind of raid out. I don't like glazing this stuff until the very end, so we have to wait for that to dry. You're gonna be up all night. Welcome, Rich. All right, let me do this now because we have tons of people in here now. We're gonna shout out 1,000 people here. We're gonna shout out Cutie Patootie. Cutie, who's a fantastic streamer. We're gonna shout out JP Got Rockets. At JP Got Rockets. Yep. Boom. We're gonna shout out YGM Monologuing. Yep. And then I don't know if TC Gentry or Black I don't know if TC Gentry or Black Skull 1965 streams, but I can shout you guys out as well. Welcome in, YGM Monologuing. How are you doing, sir? Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know who YGM Monologuing is, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, you got to get yourself out from under a rock because YGM Monologuing is a fantastic streamer and fantastic part of this community. And at Adepticon, he did something called a paint and pass, where all the local artists, all the local painters get in and work their efforts in and hone their skills. I don't even want to say hone their skills. They take the best skills that they have and they put it into this piece. So I don't know how many painters got onto that piece at Adepticon YGM, but it's for a charity, and I don't have 50 this year. 50 people painted, and streamers from all over. Don't you don't even know the amount of streamers that I learned were out there because of this. Can you put in the link for the Battle for Kathy um, raffle? So, folks, if you're interested in seeing what this piece looks like, and if you're interested in trying to win this piece as an auction, you can go buy some tickets for the raffle. There it is. It's Battle for Kathy, and it's a paint and pass. It was supposed to be auctioned off at Adepticon, but uh, because of some confusion, YGM has taken it upon himself to make sure that it gets auctioned off, and hopefully that confusion won't happen again next year. So, and if you are at Adepticon at any point, seek out YGM Monologuing and get your hands onto this miniature to put your your skills into it, because it's an amazing event. I just love it. So thank you for that. How was your stream, YGM? What were you working on? And you know, I'm screen friendly, or excuse me, I'm link friendly, so I will share stuff on screen. I look at it first before I can post it. But when you were coming in, YGM, we were talking about glazing and how you want your glaze to not spatter. You don't want your glaze to spatter like this. See how that spatter? Because that's how it dries. And a lot of times with you do highlights, if you're trying to glaze highlighted colors, you get this spattering here. So what you want is something that kind of pulls in together. So like this red just kind of pulls in together, although it's not pulling in over here. And then your paper towel, I just touch the paper towel. I don't do anything with it. I just let it soak through. And when I think it's all done, I check it again. And even when you think you see it's still growing, when you think it's all done, you just do it again. What you're trying to do is try to get the smallest dot you can. So there we go. And now you can go in and you can just kind of glaze over. So we do this red and then it becomes orange. So what we're doing is we're glazing in over the orange with this red, and it'll eventually bring it back to a red color. And it will keep all of the highlights that you put in there, except everything will become a red tone here. So, but we have to do this at the end, because once you embark on this road, you can't really touch anything anymore on the beard and the hair. And since this whole area is now wet with glaze, you have to wait for it to dry, and you don't want to touch anything else. Whoops. There's so many points. Discord gel tip. Well, I can put you in the Discord now. I can invite you into Discord, but our journey is almost over, so I can hold that off, and the next time we stream, I can put you in the Discord and we can chat on Discord. I think that might be me interviewing you. I don't know. I have to look. Let me see. But yeah, so Discord just means that it's a what does it say here? I forgot what I put. I think you can give me a tip. I think that's what that is. I think you can jump in Discord and you can give me a tip or tell me how to paint something, and I follow through with it. I think that's what that 6,000 points was. Oh, you want a tip? All right, I can give you a tip. Let's see. What tip can I give to you? I had so many of them. Boy, putting me on the spot. It's glazing. It's kicking my butt. All right, I'll tell you what. After the stream, we can get on Discord and we can chat about it. Only because I'm about to leave. I'm about to raid out myself. But I thank all of the raiders to come in. So I just want to explain one thing to the new raiders. This is a paint along, and it's I'm trying to. We can do it this weekend. Okay, we can do it this weekend. I'll put those 6,000 points back because it's not technically what it's meant for. So the paint along is just, you can buy the miniature that I'm painting. I put a miniature in my Discord. So if you join the Discord and go to the Thursday night paint along challenge, or excuse me, channel, you can find out what miniature I'm doing for that month. You can order it, and then I put a color palette there, or just a basic color palette, followed by what the paints I'll be using for that miniature is. and then we just go and we start painting. So you can either wait for the video, the VOD, and then paint along with it, or you can paint along live and ask questions along the way. I kind of did it that way because there's so many, people like to learn different techniques, and if we're not painting on the same miniature, it's kind of hard to explain how to do certain things. So that's what the paint alongs are for. We're trying it out for the Thursday night streams. If it works, it's great. If it doesn't, it's fine. It's not like I not painting a miniature, right? Um, and then I stream on Tuesday nights too. Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Along with every other streamer in the world. So among all streamers that among all mini painters that stream on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm the lowest quality one. So you can always find me at the end of anybody else's journey. But that's where we were at with him. We started him last week, and this is where we got this week. We ended up doing the boots. We finished up some of the beard and hair. I got this little blue loincloth here. So we're going to do more next week on him. We're going to get into the metallics. We're going to do some non-metallic gold on the handle. Oh, we did the belts tonight. That's right. We were doing the belts tonight. So lots more to do. And I hope that people are enjoying these things. So with that, I think it's time to go find out who we're going to raid. So I'm going to take these off. And I'm going to say thank you, everybody, for coming out. I appreciate it. JP Got Rockets, thank you for that raid. YGM Monologuing, thank you for that raid. Folks, go to the website, the Battle for Kathy link that YGM put on there. Buy your tickets for the raffle. Or just go to the site and see what the piece is that 50 incredible painters put their talents in to create something amazing. It's just amazing. And you know it's going to be good because people paint what they know and people paint to their strengths. And so it's an amazing piece that it would be worth anything to have it on your table. So go over there and check it out. And if you like what you see, get yourself a raffle ticket. And we're going to find out who might want to have all of us barge in on their stream. So, where is that? That would be right here, I think. Okay. Commander Mittens Mini Ruckus, good enough painting Rottweiler. Let's see. Who else do we have? Oh, that's right. Tonight is D&D night. Everybody's playing D&D. Let's see. I think where we're going to dump you. Let's see. We got. I don't know. Have I ever. Let's see if I've done this. Let's see. Let's see. I haven't done good enough painting in a while, so let's go over there. Let me just pull him up. Doing, like... Oops. And now we got to go over to raid. All pro stream stuff you're seeing here, folks. I am a pro streamer. Someday I'll get a mod. I don't. Someday. My Nielsen ratings have to go up for me to get a mod, but let's see. Let's go to good enough painting. Good enough. How come I can't spell it? There it is. All right. Oh God. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for stopping in. I appreciate it. And we will be back here on Tuesday, at 9 p.m. to do something. I think it's more work on the on Warduke Chibi, plus whatever else I can find in my pile of shame. Thank you so much for coming out, and we'll see you next time. Keep painting.
There's a raid! Joltib! Thank you for the raid! There's Eradicate chat too. How are you doing? Hi!
Alright, one thing I want to do is I want to actually fix up some of the straps to make it a little bit more
What is up, folks? Welcome, mini painters.
go with
You've joined us for Dungeons and Dragons Thursday. Oops. We're putting in some base coats and everything. What were you all working on? What are you folks up to? TC Gentry, Joltib himself. What's up? Reaper Minis. Oh, that's pretty cool. Nice. I don't know that model, but that's awesome. But folks, if you don't know me, as I don't recognize the names here, my name is Ricky. I paint models for people that don't want to paint them for themselves. These are some D&D models. If you want to check out the portfolio and stuff, it's here. Wait. And tonight, we'll be painting up some D&D characters. These two in particular. And then putting bases and some of the stuff that I painted on Monday. I wasn't on stream on Monday, but I painted these guys up. Oops. And then if we get time for it, we're going to get these based and work on the Drider. I paint a lot of models. I enjoy painting a lot of different things for different folks. Try to make everything as inexpensive as possible, so... But I'd love to hear about what you're making. Battletech! Battletech is something I've never actually tried to paint yet. Hygienist is super understanding. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Stomach, yep. Yeah. Blade Giant Alpha. Ah! I don't know. We got it. We got it soon, though. We got it soon. Maybe once I move. Howdy, Sven Spoon? Sven the Spoon? Not Seven Spoons. Sven the Spoon? But yeah, Joltip, what kind of stuff do you like to paint the most? What is your favorite thing to paint? I do have a dog named Appa. He's very cute. Miniatures? Okay, cool. I meant like what kind, bro? Fantasy ones? Sci-fi ones? Yeah, I have a puppy. His name is Appa. Wait, here. You can see some pictures of him there on the break screen. So we can make him life size. As in the size of that Appa, maybe. Fantasy right now. Almost everything I've done, because I don't do anything with miniatures. I just paint things for other people. Whether it be for charities, commissions, giveaways, and things like that. I like to do a lot of giveaways and stuff on the channel when I can. Doing more DMing. Oh yeah, nice. So I just do whatever people want, and it's a lot of fantasy. Lots and lots of fantasy. Huge one. Oh yeah, ours has to be bigger. I don't know about that. I've seen it though. Yeah, it's so cool. I also have a cat named Pepper. You can redeem points to give her a treat, but I don't know if she's down here. It's pretty easy to summon her though. We just shake the treat bag. Like this month's giveaway was here some Lord of the Rings minis. Time for alcohol. Enjoy yourself. Turn SR. Stream